This creature here is probably one of the most curious in all of Dark Souls 2. This is the corrosive ant queen, and very little is known about this creature, but the most fascinating thing about the corrosive ant queen is that she is completely passive. She will never attack you, and that mist the queen sprays from her body will actually cure your poison, but will also slowly degrade your equipment. The only in-depth explanation of the corrosive ant queen actually comes from the Collector's Edition guide, so I'm going to read from this here. A queen of the species of giant corrosive ants native to Yugo. Only one exists in Drang Lake. Its presence in the gutter seems to suggest that it began its life in the laboratory of Lord Aldia's mansion, and eventually outlived its usefulness. And while you could argue how official this lore is, since it isn't in the main game itself, I think it does give a very solid explanation for where the corrosive ant queen came from. Lord Aldia and his mansion will be very important factors moving forward, but I don't want to talk about him too much yet, as I want to wait till we get closer to where his character becomes more relevant. But I think it's very peculiar how the corrosive ant queen, even though she may have started life as an experiment, has found a new home here within the gutter, and is surrounded by fellow subjects of her own and even the hollows who dwell within the gutter itself. So I'd like to think that she had a bit of a happy ending ending up here, so long as you don't kill her. If you kill her, you are a jerk.
You've been long away. What would you like? Well, visit me again, whenever you please. Thank you kindly. Oh, you... My thoughts are very scattered. What is this curse? The question rings in my mind, but I haven't the focus to answer it. Loss frightens me no end. Loss of memory, loss of self. If I were told that by killing you I would be freed of this curse, then I would draw my sword without hesitation. I don't want to die. I want to exist. I would sacrifice anything at all for this. It shames me, but it is the truth. Sometimes I feel obsessed with this insignificant thing called self. Even so, I am compelled to preserve it. Am I wrong to feel so? Surely you do the same in my sheets. Maybe we're all cursed. In the moment we're born.
We have met Lucatiel of Mira once again, and this will be the last meeting for quite some time, but I think this actually might be one of the most heartbreaking times we talk with her. As you can tell, she is losing sense of herself. The curse is really taking its toll on her now, and she has very little memory of her life and what drives her to move forward. I especially love the line she says, "I don't want to die, I want to exist." Lucatiel strives so much for her life to have some sort of meaning and purpose, and she's fighting against the curse so much, but it's a losing battle, and it's hard to watch because we know that she will eventually fade away. But I think her dialogue here speaks volumes of how, even though she may seem weak, how strong her character actually is, and that she's willing to go to any length to preserve her life. As she says, she's become obsessed with this thing called self, and if you don't meet certain requirements in her storyline, Lucatiel's tale will end very tragically. However, she has already survived 3 of the 4 boss fights that are required to reach the good ending, so she's all set to go. But I do want Lucatiel of Mira to help me out with one last boss fight, and that's the old one of the Black Gulch. Rotten is, appropriately enough, one of the most disgusting bosses in the entire Souls series. I just think he's so disturbing how his hands are formed from other bodies, and it's just ick. It's very gross. But a very important thing about the Rotten is not only is he one of the 4 old ones we must defeat, but you could say he's a reincarnation of sort of Grave Lord Nido, the first of the dead. Now, it's kind of up to your own theories whether you agree with this or not, but I like to believe that it's kind of the will or essence of Nido driving the Rotten forward, because even on New Game Plus, he drops the Nido's soul. But as for the Rotten's soul, it reads, "Soul of the Rotten, who writhes deep within the gutter, the Rotten embraces all, in his sanctuary for all things unwanted or tossed away." And that's about it. There's actually very little lore in-game about the Rotten himself. I know some people speculate that it might actually be Pharos the Vagabond who is mutated into this horrific beast, but I don't know if I believe that myself. I think Pharos the Vagabond ended up somewhere else in Drang Lake, and I think it's actually one of the areas we'll explore much later on. What I do believe, however, is that the Rotten himself is driven and kind of formed by the essence of Gravelord Nido, and he's kind of fused all the writhing and dying bodies of the gutter to create this horrific monster, and the Rotten became so great and powerful that he became one of the old ones of Drang Lake. He's a pretty creepy fight, and I would argue he's probably the most challenging of the 4 old ones, as he hits like a truck whenever he does hit you. But I think the Rotten is a great boss with a super disturbing design, and he fits oh so well in the Dark Souls universe. It's been a little while since we visited Dina and Tilo, but I do go on quite a trading jamboree here, so I'm going to speed up the footage just a little bit. I will say the most notable thing I got out of the trading sequence was the Demon's Great Hammer. I actually got quite excited when that dropped, because that's a pretty spiffy weapon, and one of my favorite weapons from the original Dark Souls, and it's just as much fun here. I don't know whether I'll actually use it in this playthrough or not, but I was excited to receive it nonetheless. We now approach another character who will be with us for a large portion of our quest, Bernhard of Yugo. I won't talk about his character too much at this point because we'll be meeting him several more times later on, but I do enjoy how his character, like Lucatil of Mira, follows us around in our journey in Drang Lake and helps us out with several boss fights. He's a pretty spiffy guy.
Business with me. The way yonder is all blocked up, you see, by this god-awful statue. Heavens above! Who thought it a good idea to put it there? Oh, I'm in quite the pickle now. See that statue? Gives me the willies. You stare at it for long enough, it starts to look alive. It just doesn't seem quite right. There are no craftsmen around these parts. Hey, you don't think a real-life person was turned to stone, do you?
I've been petrified. Hard to speak. Give me a moment, please. I'm fine, I think. No. I'm fine. Really, I am. My name is Rosabeth. Thank you so much for rescuing me. Oh, you're that traveler. I still haven't thanked you. Well, I'm quite a hand at pyromancy. So perhaps you could consider this my thanks. I was attacked and turned to stone, I think. I owe you my life. If you had not come... Oh, I feel shameful wearing these rags. I hate to burden you further, as you've already saved my life. But just look at me. My clothes are in tatters. Do you have any clothing that you could spare? I'll take anything, whatever you don't need. I'm not particular when it comes to apparel. Anything at all will do. Just put it on the ground, and I'll change into it later. I have my very own teacher. His name is Carillion of the Fold, a famed sorcerer in Melfia, our hometown. I was fascinated by sorcery, and so, well, he's so unique, you see. When he set out for Drang Lake, I couldn't let him go alone. But we were separated, quite early on, I'm afraid. Thank you so much. I'm very happy for this gift. After I change into this, I'm heading for Majula. I'm not sure where I might find the Lord. But perhaps Majula is my best chance.
And this is yet another character we save from petrification, and one whose culprit is actually very close by, as you'll see the basilisk in just a second here. The Rosabeth of Melfia, in addition to being a pyromancer, is actually the apprentice of Carillion of the Fold, and that is why she came to Drang Lake in pursuit of her master. But if you're playing as a pyromancer, she's the primary character you'll want to go to, as she can level up your pyromancy flame and give you access to a whole bunch of pyromancies. The other fun thing about Rosabeth of Melfia is she's the only character in the series who you can kind of play dress-up with, as you can give her different outfits to wear, as long as you don't mind trading them to her for the rest of the game. Rosabeth is a sweet character, and I rather like her.